There we go. Okay, so there's some yellow. Everybody do this along with me. I'm gonna tap my brush into the red and circle it into the yellow so that we make orange. And I'm going to add that to the top. And I'm just gonna keep my brush going back and forth very, very lightly, like that. I'm gonna add more red, a little bit more water, and I'm gonna try to come out a little bit further. So what we're gonna do right now, and my page is a little bit bigger than yours because I wanted you to be able to see it better, but we're trying to go all the way across our page with this band of color. So we're putting yellow all the way across. We're keeping our paint kind of thin. Something you can do if you have more time to let stuff dry is actually just put thicker paint on. I'm just gonna do a little section where I do that. And you can go just in like stripes like this and alternate between the red and the yellow with thicker wet paint. But we're trying to go on top of the background colors that we're making right now, so that's why I didn't want the paint to be too thick in the background. But later on, you can come in with thicker paint for anywhere that looks really thin. So I have some blue. Again, it's very watery, and at the very top of my design, I'm gonna put the blue. And I'm gonna bring the blue down to where the orange is. I'm gonna let them overlap a little bit right there. And then I'm actually gonna mix my blue with a tiny bit of black because we want it to be a little bit more of a shade of blue. And I'm gonna make it just a little bit darker. Okay, especially towards the top. Okay, so now we have something like that. And we're going to use just black. We're gonna make it pretty watery. And we're gonna put just black on the bottom part of our page. So using black again, this time we're gonna get very thick black, okay? And we're gonna come up from somewhere down here and we're just going to be drawing a line that squiggles. So you can twist your brush like that. And then back down from the bottom, we'll come up from there again and make it a little thicker. This will be the tree trunk. And then turn your brush. This might take some practice, and basically what we're doing is we're just creating a tree. And once you have a couple of vertical branches that are a little twisty, go ahead and come off of them with more branches. You can also have some that point down. let's make our bottom part of it much thicker. So once you have the basic form, you can mess with it. You can give it a thicker bottom. Like that. So don't be afraid to go back across because they go in all these different directions. I feel like I want this one to kind of go like that. There. Okay. Now we can put a little, maybe we have a little headstone back here. In my bathroom. Next thing we're gonna do is just kind of scribble some black down here, like make it kind of more horizontal, but we're really getting like this dark patch, and I'll show you what we're doing with that next. After you do this part down here, wash your brush out really well. Squeeze it out. Get all the water out. Make sure there's no black left on there. All right, now we're going to grab very thick red. Okay, very thick red. And preferably this would be dry. Mine's not dry yet. I'm gonna try anyway. But if this gets all dirty, just realize, well, normally we would wait a moment. Okay. But now I'm going to just do like, as I pull up, as I go up, I'm pulling my brush away, okay? It's fire. So see how there's dark areas and light areas naturally? Now I'm gonna scoop up a little bit of yellow. I'm gonna grab a tiny bit of white to mix with the yellow. And just on a few spots, I'm gonna add some flickers of brighter color. I mean, it's just lines, but our brains are like, oh, fire. Kind of cool, huh? All right, now we're gonna make a purple, okay? So rinse out your brush really well, get it dry, mix your blue and your red together until you have a purple, and it can be very dark. That's okay. We're gonna actually add a highlight to what we're doing. So just start with plain blue and plain red together to make a purple. So I got my blue, got my red. Blue is more powerful than red in my particular paints. So I need to make sure to have it like that. Okay, now we're going to make a U. Okay, and fill it in. go across the top. It can have a little lip to it. And then fill it in. Okay, do you guys have both of your brushes? Do you have your tinier brush? Because I'm gonna mix a little bit of white. Put your other brush into the water, guys. Don't let that paint dry on there. I'm gonna use a little bit of white and I'm gonna make a lighter purple, a tint, and I'm gonna highlight the edge and the middle. I'm going across. I'm even gonna make an even lighter tint because I want to have a couple spots that are even brighter. I'm just gonna put another highlight there and then just a couple marks here. But my paint's still wet, so it blends in a little bit. So that's kind of what I wanted you guys to witness, was that if your paint is still wet, you can actually blend in the edges of your colors together. So you can have a better transition when you're creating value in your painting. Okay, now I'm going back to the first brush, the flat one, and I want to make it so that that's sitting on something. So now that we've painted that cauldron, that's what that is a cauldron. I'm going to give an X underneath it. So it's kind of like it's propped up on this little stand. Okay, it would have another one behind it. There's all kinds of setups you can do. Now, it could have been hanging from the tree or all kinds of things. Or you could make like a big rectangle where it was hanging from with like a stand. So you can get creative with that. Now I'm gonna put a few more flames just in front of it. I'm going to mix green. So I cleaned out my brush again, grabbing some yellow, grabbing some blue, grabbing some white. All right, so we're getting a nice tint of green. And then when you like your green, we're gonna make it so it's like coming out of that cauldron. Don't worry about the tree. We just go like that. Maybe some of it's spilling out. But see how we're able to build on our background? Now, can you imagine if you were to paint this scene and then try to do the background? It would be so hard to do. So we always do the background first, usually very, very thin. So now I'm going back over my tree branches so that they can be in the front. So we have that. Let's get our little detail brush again. And we're gonna grab some white. We can put a moon up here. We can put R.I.P. on there if we want. We can add a few little highlights to the magical potion that's brewing in here. Yeah. What if we even put a little hole in the tree? So if I wanted to do that, I would put white first, and then you can add the colors of the background into it. So I could make it a little sunset colors. I'm just gonna pack in a few more little iconic shapes in here for you guys. In your tiny little detail brush, this isn't really gonna make sense in this picture too much, but that's okay. I'm gonna thin out some black with a little bit of water. I'm with my detail brush, okay? And I'm going to go and make these lines that radiate out from the center. You can see I need a little more water. And I'm going to loop them in towards the center with these lines like this. And they don't have to line up. It's actually better if they don't. Some of them can have more rows than the other. Spider web. You guys see that okay? And then one more thing we can do is maybe a bat. So you need the black paint still. And this is really just an iconic shape. I'm just gonna do it right here in this spot so that it's easier to see. And all you do to make a bat is you do one line for the middle, okay? One little line, and then you make a V, turn it into an M, and then you do little scalloped edges. This might take some practice. You can practice this in your notebook, drawing the shape of a bat. And they have little ears. So here we have it. How do you like that? We mixed orange and green and purple. We blended some colors. We created some highlights on the cauldron to create some form. We have depth where everything is kind of, the tree is in front. We made fire. How do you like that?